hands to your waist and the palms up. If you go palms down, we know that the hands, feet, genitals, and face have huge somatosensory cortex. These are like proprioceptive vacuums. When we look at just the hand and the feet, the sole or palm of our hand is far more proprioceptively dense than the dorsum, even though getting backhanded doesn't hurt, it still hurts. Then when we have hands down, we may use our hands to engage, whereas when you're at the dorsum, you won't. So this is why we want hands flat. This toe is looking to the ceiling. It'll stay looking to the ceiling. This knee is stiff. It'll stay stiff. This knee is also stiff. I'd like you to do a leg raise with your right leg slowly and hold it. Go. Good. Come on, back down. And go. Good. Once more. Okay, so they were all solid twos to me. Now, what we would see is turn your foot out. You're going to turn your left foot out. Keep it there. I'm going to tell you when to do it. So start the same way. This is what is hard to do. So keep it straight, keep it stiff, and then turn it out. I'll tell you when. No, go lift. Now, keep going. So you see that happens in real time. What would you score that one? It's a 1. So you kind of have to be like an NBA official. Like, is he coming up when he gets his hand slapped? So now do that, but do it as fast as you did before. So you got to know. You're looking at where this one finishes, and then you got to see where that turns out. When that turns out, that's where you score it. That could be the difference between a 1 and a 2, a 2 and a 3. It could also be somewhat an expression of pain. The other thing that this is significant of is that when you see, now remember I told him to go slow. I told him to do it, and he did, because this isn't a big problem. For people that are very stiff, they're going to go fast. Their proprioception, their version of slow is not the same. So they're going to go so fast to try to hide against this. Because that active straight leg raise is more of a downside problem. It's more of a stability side rather than a phasic side. Okay? So that's something I think many of you probably heard about, but you got to get that. So not only can this knee, this knee doesn't have to be like locked like you're doing a quad set, but it can't be bent. And when does 1, 2, or 3 change in the pattern? That's where you score it. All right? And yes, if you put something under their back, that does get a valuable appraisal of the hamstring. This has nothing to do with the hamstrings. That is just 1/3 of the possible limiting factors here. What about the posterior pelvic tilt? If you have a split pelvis position, it's humanly impossible to have a posterior pelvic tilt. So I'm not worried about it. If your neck goes in the wrong place, that is an enormous factor, but that's not a part of the test here.
Can you remind them to not turn their foot out?
You can do whatever you want.
I mean, like
but I'm trying to give you the best answer that I can. The best answer is, if you think it's your fault that they did not keep it there, then of course, you definitely tell them. But I'm very confident. I told him this stays here. See how I make up my own verbiage, but I've been doing this almost 10 years now. And the scoring of the test the scoring of the screen really hasn't changed. The teaching and the focus on particular errors over the years is what has changed. But yeah, you can do it. Because look, if they can do it, then you learn. Then you know it's a stability issue, and your vertical training is going to be okay. It's when they can't do it, because they really can't do it, is when you're going to see problems when they're vertical, and they shouldn't be in the terminal lifts. Does that make sense, guys? So if you can do it, then it's okay, but you're still learning about the person, because just because he can do it when you tell him to do it, what about when he's throwing around 24s? Is he going to do it then? Just or you're going to tell him on every rep? So that's I don't go down that road. I'd rather fix it and then show why didn't he do it the first time? Why should I have to tell him again? And there's we had this conversation with one of the Vancouver Canucks, and it was like healthy cynicism, because they didn't want anything to do with it, and they were just there because their team were making them go. And I'm saying, look, this is an expression, when you go in the